those 2 points. We need boots on the ground in our community, not people based in Hamilton.
Just through the chair, we do have a regional connectivity coordinator through Sport Waikato who is based here 2 or 3 days a week and does that.
Who's that current coordinator?
Veronica Marie is
Okay, do we have support Waikato? Yeah.
Will be Sport Waikato or Sports Advisory? We've just mentioned.
Sport Waikato. How it's done.
Can I just back the bus up just a little bit and just to set the scene, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
First of all, I want to acknowledge all of the applicants. And having read through the applications, it was both heartening and concerning. Heartening that there are so many organisations doing amazing work across a broad spectrum of work, and disheartening because I wish we had more money that we could put towards supporting them. And I guess, however we cut this today, I just want to acknowledge, I guess, on behalf of all of us, that seriously impressed with the, most of the applications. Regrettably, some of them did not hit the mark in terms of what we're looking for, and there will be some disappointed people, but that's the nature of the decision making we're involved in. So I guess with that little monologue, I'm happy to speak in favour of Sport Waikato in terms of the strategic side of things.
Can I ask a question? Have we got an Excel sheet going where we can see where we're up to as we go along? Is someone doing that? You are. Thank you. Yeah.
Calculator.
we're actually doing it.
So the sport, yeah, sorry.
It is processed through a number of funding applications over the years, particularly with Waira. It is a really difficult decision because you've only got so much money to be able to siphon these out. So we've got 3 applications in front of us under this category. And sadly, I think if we're just going to cut to the chase, Orono Pony Club, as lovely as it is, it's hasn't got that district-wide lens on it. And look, I don't know enough about the difference between Sports Waikato and Lake Taupō Sports Advisory, but I just see regional and local, and I like local.
Yeah, I suppose just Sport Waikato has a long history with us, the local coordinator and all that sort of thing. So I'm not the persuasion to support it because we have got that long history. You know, Matthew Cooper comes in every 5 minutes to talk to us and that sort of thing. So I'm happy to think. I think there has been some concerns about like Taupō Sports Advisory Council about that particular application. People that have got concerns about that, do you want to talk to that, Danny?
I just wanted to just talk at a more high level. I mean, we've got a scoring system, and we had the opportunity this morning to say whether we agreed or disagreed with where we've landed. I'm just wondering whether, if we are reasonably happy that the scores reflect our own thinking, we can, for the ones we don't, we can have a discussion, but I'm just wondering whether maybe we should look at them in order.
Well, we are. So we took the Sport Waikato first. They scored a number 5. So is there any dissension on Sport Waikato?
No, I'm going to speak in favour of it, in favour of Sport Waikato as well.
Yeah.
Just simply from a strategic level.
Yeah.
So they're involved in the Islands Land Park Steering Group. They helped set up Te Matapuna down in Turangi. Their input has been very significant in helping council business as usual.
Yeah.
And if that's what the partnership fund is for, then that weighs pretty highly in my book. In saying that, I don't disagree with Yvonne that we do need boots on the ground. So my feeling is that we, you know, if we are supporting the Sports Advisory Council in any way, shape or form, that there should be representation from Sport Waikato, as is in the constitution of that committee. So I guess if we're having to be brutal, Sport Waikato ticking the box for strategic shape.
So
I see that they have the Sports Advisory Council has got a foot in both camps. So is there an opportunity?
So why did you score them so lowly? Sports
So-
Advisory Council.
So when we were assessing everything, we're looking at, did they understand the purpose of the fund and the objectives that we sought through that fund? And are they already operating in a way that will support us as an organisation rather than the organisation needing to support the community organisation, if that makes sense? So that's the purpose of this fund, is these groups have the strategic connections and advice and resource within them to advise us and to inform us of on particular things. And that is why our assessment has fallen the way it has.
Councillor Pat?
You just through the chair, I see with Sports Waikato, they've only applied for the Strategic Partnership Fund as well, whereas the Sports Advisory Council has applied for both. So we might be able to get both across the line. From a strategic perspective, Sports Waikato get this relationship, and then we can take the Sports Advisory Council through to the Acceleration Fund discussion.
And I totally endorse that. And in terms of Kiwi sport, I think it would be a travesty if that fell over
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
of decisions we make. I think we need to support them, if only for that initiative, because that is a critical part.
So they'll be one of 8 on the regional fund.
They can be when we get to that.
Right. Sports Advisory Fund used to give out money every
Yes,
year to as foreign hockey player and all that. Where does that sit on this?
So we'll be coming to you as the third paper. So the community sports grant has come into the location-based fund.
Yeah.
So there's still funding there and groups can 100% still apply. They just come to a different.
Through
Through
the
the-
Oh, okay, not yet. Yeah, okay, next one.
But also through the chair, the Sport Advisory Council do through the sports awards offer scholarships and funding from their own fund.
Yeah,
That's
they got, they got
Yeah.
actually a lot of money from somebody running used to run this.
Yeah.
Something.
Contact energy swim well, and it's.
And then that's a separate account.
Yeah.
And then,
Okay, so
and then on
so
top of that,
if
the
we-
contact energy swim
yeah.
program.
if we.
There
look
was
at
another concern, was Contact Energy, Sport Waikato claimed in regards to swimming, but I thought it was Contact Energy that's responsible with the swimming.
Yeah, but they coordinate it, they arrange the sponsorship and all that sort of thing. Them in conjunction with, I think, the Sports Advisory.
Okay, so through the chair, so sorry, Sports Advisory Council,
Yeah.
the vehicle that Contact Swimwear Program funding comes through.
Yeah.
So the fund comes from Contact to SAC back to the ACBARs through that channel. The comment, I think, was around Sport Waikato and $50,000 towards some form of swimming program. I'm not sure what they were referring to.
That's what I couldn't understand.
I don't believe they were indicating that was the Contact Swimwear Program.
No, I was trying to understand if that goes to the kids in the community, then I didn't understand where Sport Waikato fit it into that.
So we'll leave the Sports Advisory Council to the next one. What was the third thing? Oranui. Yeah, they didn't qualify with that.
They didn't align to the objectives that we were seeing.
Yes, sorry, just a question, sorry.
Yeah.
So if it's 300 divided by 60 and that's 50,
Yeah.
what's happened to
Stays in the,
Gary
Stays in the pool.
stays in the coffers.
Yeah, so if you don't allocate the full 300,000, we'll put that into the one-off community funds paper that comes third on the list. So there will just be more to distribute through those funds.
I was just wondering whether it goes to particularly to sport, because that's a sport, we've got that sport focus, but
So is it, we don't have to agree that it's 50.
Your decision to decide how much you think that partnership is worth. In the past, it has been 50,000, our partnership with Sport Waikato.
Okay. All right. So we need to move
and
it.
so just another question. if I
Yeah.
may. So if we don't allocate out of the strategic partnership fund, that goes to the one-off grant funding, it doesn't sort of go down the line to
No.
accelerator.
With the accelerator one, we got that agreement from you back in October that you'll allocate up to 160,000 through
Yeah,
that,
okay.
across up to 8 agreements.
Up
And
to, yeah.
Up to, because these are the groups that our team are going to be working quite closely alongside, and that's what we have capacity to support.
Okay,
So,
so we want us to get, what do you want me to?
so just to clarify, you're going with Sport Waikato. Do we want to talk dollars, or at the moment, are we looking?
Why don't we put 50 in
Yeah.
and get to the end and then we can see
Yeah.
where it.
You got that? Great.
That's a reasonable thing.
Shall I move these at the end?
Yes, yeah.
All right, acceleration fund.
No, so we're.
That's 1 of 5. We've got 4 to go.
The second one on our list is the arts, culture and ngātoi priority. So through that, we sought support to help plan for the future of our arts, culture facilities, as well as supporting those groups to build capability and capacity. So those were the 2 objectives we were seeking. We had applications come through from Creative Waikato, Creative Taupō and Town Centre Taupō. In our summary assessment document, you'll see Waikato fell as our recommendation, and this is purely, if you think of the Sport Waikato, it's Creative Waikato do the same thing, but in that creative arts, culture and ngātoi space, and that's the support we as officers need from a more strategic level. So that's where our recommendation fell.
Through the chair, I'd like to completely contradict myself from what I said before. Because we've never had arts dealt with at a regional level, I don't see a reason to change that. I would rather stay with our creative Taupō folk. They've got a succession plan in place. They know where everybody is and what they're doing. And I just think we're really lucky locally, and I'd rather have a strategic relationship done with creative Taupō than creative Waikato.
That was a strong presentation.
It was very,
professional. They had a vision, they had a really good plan.
and through the chair, if we're talking about working toward the arts, culture and ngātoi action plan, these are the people that help develop it. They're probably best positioned to carry it out and act with it.
Through the chair, obviously, would like to support those comments. I think the only thing, obviously, perhaps, was 80 grand for the capacity to spend that first.
Yeah.
This year, we've made some realism around that, and also same applies to support Creative Waikato. I think dealing with the councillors and so they both agreed, both parties agreed, so the funding for central government still often has to be signed, so it's a bit uncertain around that, but I think staying locally is a strategic part to credit. I thought you might.
I think it's really hard from an applicant's point of view because there are some funds that automatically won't give you more than half. There are some funds that unless you've got this, so I think it's really, really hard for community groups to know where to pitch the money at. And I think some just figure, let's go for the sky and see where it leads.
So just through the chair, if I may, and this is just a suggestion for food for thought. Creative Taupō on a discovery journey, I guess, and their presentation was great this morning and showed that they have got some vision. I think the question you need to ask yourself, are they a strategic partner as an organisation right now, which is the thinking behind the strategic fund, or would they benefit from the accelerator fund in the first instance to allow them to build capability? Because what I'm hearing from you is you want to support local, and I think listening to them pitch the priority around, they talked about some specific actions out of the ngātoi action plan, the hub creation of the website, the arts facilitator coordinator, the portable art space. There's some real tangible wins for the community. The question, I guess, in this question is, are they in a position to be strategic and long-term enough in the context of a Sport Waikato as an example, or would they benefit from support to uplift capability and accelerate a fund initially, which in 3 years' time, when these funds roll around again, they'd be in a better position to be a strategic partner for a long-term vision at that stage.
I'd just say 20,000, if they dropped into the other fund, isn't really going to cut the mustard for them. I mean, I just really felt that they'd put everything together and you're dealing with people who've been in that art culture movement for quite some time. And that was one of the best presentations I'd seen in that area, sitting through numerous grant applications and having a little fiddle here and there. I thought it was really strong.
Yeah, I did too, and I am aware, I've sort of kept an eye on their progress, having a bit of interest, and their strategy planning has been very, very good and is quite complete. They've got a succession plan. Having a partnership with Creative Waikato, that's a new partnership too. We've got no track record with them either. So I wonder if we'd be better off backing our own horse and continuing to build that capability there. Just given how much work, time and effort has not only gone into their structure and their sustainability, but also the input that they had to put into very strategy we're asking them to implement. I'm strongly in favour of Taupō being a partnership.
I think it's why I've attended some of the meetings. I think I've had a conflict of interest. I don't contribute for their strategy, but they are very, very strong. Everything comes to risk, admittedly, but no time like the present. 3 years down the track,
How much
pushed out.
How much money for that?
About 80.
Drop that down.
Let's wait until the end, see what's left.
Well, their mind of supporting creative local instead of creative Waikato.
Yes.
And anyone else on that field? Oh, Graffiate, yeah, 20K. Was it 20K? Yeah, yeah, no, I'm very supportive of that.
I think we have to look at the purpose of the
Yeah. The purpose of this fund was to gain support to help plan for the future of our district art facilities and to support our communities to build capability. Our recommendation, as you'll see in here, is that the town centre Taupō application didn't closely align with the outcomes that we saw through that. So they haven't applied to the other funds.
Oh, okay.
They would definitely be eligible to apply to our one-off community grants where they can access up to $5,000 each round.
And through the chair, if we support Creative Taupō, they can then support Graffiate because they're building capability for groups like this.
Yeah, no, they have 50K.
No, but we're supporting them to build their capability, and that's one of their functions.
And through the chair, they do have still some receding funding from the events fund over the next 2 years that they just need to find a top up for, whether it's funding or whatever.
Part of the transformation we do is the other one. So,
David, this one's quite narrow, whereas the other one's quite broad.
There's no argument with the benefit of the initiative, the vitality of Graffiate. The discussion is around its alignment with the policy that we all agreed, and it doesn't. And I think we are digging a hole for ourselves if we make an exception of this magnitude and go, let's just slip it in. I don't think we can. And I totally support them. I totally think it's an awesome idea. It just doesn't align.
anything else?
So just to clarify, we will go back to town centre Taupō and say exactly that. Alignment.
If so, overseeing
With our applications back to Creative Waikato, it will be that you chose to go with a more local group.
Yeah.
Just to get
I think even with the flavour of that too. Questions too, that guy. But, no, that's good. All right.
Okay, great. So the third priority is around climate risk and environmental wellbeing. So we support, we sought support to protect our district's natural ecosystems, connect people to and educate them about nature, and plant trees and undertake native revegetation programs. So we had 3 applications to this priority as well. The first being Greening Taupō, and they scored the highest during our assessment. The next was Sea Cleaners Trust, who are not currently working in Taupō District. They're based more region around the sea. around the coastal area. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, doing well.
And then the third one being the Taupō Community Gardens Trust.
I'm happy to speak to this. I'm a little bit surprised that the Taupō Community Gardens Trust scored lower than the Sea Cleaners Trust, because I read through their application and it's to buy a boat to skim rubbish off the lake. Now, I've spent a lot of time out the lake, and you'd be driving around, putting an awful lot of petrol,
It's electric.
a awful lot of whatever into the lake to find a piece of rubbish to pick up. I just fail to see how this can benefit
Talk about the
Sea Cleaners Trust. I know, sorry, in my mind, it's a no. Doesn't even come close to the purpose of what we're looking for.
Thank you very much. John, so greening type,
Oh, no brainer.
no, there's community.
The work they
gardens.
do is outstanding.
I think greening total, but was the best presentation on the day to meet the alignment with our criteria.
Okay.
The Gardens Trust is great, and the fact they're taking food scraps and diverting waste away from the landfill, that's an awesome initiative, and all power to them. But if you look at the, again, go back to the policy and look at the reach, greening Taupō are by far and away ahead of the pack.
So they can apply to the other.
Yeah, so the Gardens Trust have applied to the Accelerator Fund as well. And if it wasn't future, then they didn't get that. They could also apply to our one-off community fund.
But through the chair, to be fair, the workshops that they spoke of, the composting workshops are funded by TDC anyway.
So they're funded by our waste minimisation fund, which
sorry,
is the
correct.
central government fund that's administered by us.
But yeah, that they still collect funding from that.
That comes from central government, yeah.
That's good.
All right, through the chair, can I just, obviously, at the end of the day, we're going to look at the numbers, finalise the numbers on the amounts that we've got. I think it's good to come along and accelerate it. Both the green, green talk, or that could be more, so put it under there. I know
It's an unused budget on this. Yeah.
Under 300.
Can we use to strategic?
No. I'm saying that the penny here, the 300,000 is distributed to 5 previous funds.
Yeah.
No,
So
so
any balance can't go to the.
No, I'm not suggesting that, I'm not suggesting it.
No, that's right. So it can go to the general.
it will go to the one-off fund.
Perfect. Okay, moving on.
So just to clarify, how much did,
We're going to sort the amounts in.
Okay,
I think
sorry.
we're just going to have the numbers in.
What is reading?
It's all right.
Like?
60K, we just put it out and then just adjust it later.
Okay, community wellbeing.
Right, I'm going.
Oh, where you go?
Why can't we hit two?
Ah.
So through this priority within the fund, we sought support to partner with an organisation that will provide social service networking opportunities, that will facilitate opportunities that build capability and capacity within our community organisations, and that will support social service organisations to collaborate and come together. So we received 7 applications to this part of the fund. The first one and the one that has hit the highest through the framework is Waiora Community Trust to support operational costs. We've then got Mangakino Central Charitable Trust, who have also applied to the Accelerator Fund. Taupō Family Centre, Taupō Blue Light, Waikato River Trails Trust. So we, just a note, did contact the trust to ask if they felt the river trails, if they felt they would fall better into the sustainable transport choices, but we never heard back from them. So they've been assessed against the outcomes we were seeking under that community wellbeing. So we also had the SPCA and Murray Energy Trust.
Oh, that's right.
So we can still consider just double checking Mangakino Central Charitable Trust for the Accelerator Fund, is it?
That's applied to the Accelerator.
Worship, I'm probably new to the room, but I just want to say about the Maori Trust before I leave, that if we don't contribute anything to the Maori Trust, we will be the only council in the Maori Trust area that's not contributing. So I just make that point. Not sure if we can.
And they've only applied for a strategic
Sorry?
partnership. They've only applied for a
Only applied for
strategic
strategic
partnership.
Well, I know, but.
Come to the others.
I'll be tweeting.
It's in their account. Yeah.
Okay, oh, so, yeah, cool. Okay, Wairua House,
Wairua Trust.
Wairua Trust.
Honestly, I don't think our community social services can function without them, quite frankly. And we've built this building specifically for social services. They've got a track history in running this sort of organisation in the building and assisting social services. I think we'd be very silly not to support them at this time.
Well, through the chair, I mean, you're therefore saying if we were to support them, that we've built a big white elephant, and that's just not a good thing to do. It would possibly be about $10 million of ratepayers' money.
They've also done a lot of work on the trust board itself, the strategic planning going forward, the business structure. The business plan that's in place is coming to fruition. I have all faith in the board's ability to carry out exactly what it is that they're offering.
Through the chair, that was all my understanding, Kevin, or Christine, the whole working group right through from day one, that would always be working towards that. May not be imperfect, but it's working towards it. We have to support that.
Okay. So anyone against that?
Yeah, I'm all for it as well.
Yeah.
I also think, but I think it's our policy that needs tweaking.
Yes.
Because in Mangakino, we've always supported that community agency, which then morphed into, which was now the Central Charitable Trust. We've always supported that too, because they carry out those same things in our community. We need to keep supporting that.
Yeah.
It needs to be a strategic partnership. So, yeah.
So.
But I hear you,
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Take there, Brian. Next, that was the next one.
We'll just do community trust.
So we're ready to move on to the next priority?
No.
Okay, sorry.
Well, no, if we agree to Wairua Community Trust, we've effectively ruled everyone else out.
Oh, okay.
I don't see how we can't support them, to be perfectly honest. And now, at a time
the
now,
opportunity with the Mangakino one with the accelerator funds, so we're not.
But in the next, we need to change the policy.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I agree this time round.
To be fair, this is the first time we've done this under the new policy, and it's always going to throw up a few curveballs, and we've identified then that this gives us a digital discussion. You're in, therefore you're out. It's yes or no, as opposed to as well as, which we don't have the option given the way the policy is written. So, I mean,
What do you mean that we've used all the money out?
no.
David, last year, and we set up these policies and these
Yeah.
new processes and these new
Yeah.
priorities. So we said that we would give 5 organisations strategic partnerships
Yeah.
with the council under each of the 5 headings. So there can only be one under each of the 5.
Oh, okay.
The idea being behind these partnerships that they are supporting us in providing strategic advice to us or supporting our business as usual activities. So it's different from the former partnership agreement.
So we approve Wairua, we can't even discuss the rest.
That's right.
well, that's a point of the policy which we've agreed to. But again, it's like one of those things, unless you run it in real life, you don't identify all of the pitfalls that are likely to be there. I mean,
But the one that we're most concerned about, to be fair, is Mangakino, and we're not eliminating them from any funding. Like, there's still another fund that we're going to discuss next that they may obtain some funding.
But just they could never apply for that again. And so they'll never get this one and they'll never get the next one.
Unless there's a
And then
tweaking.
never get, yeah.
Unless there's a tweaking in
Not
the
your policy, because it didn't fit.
How do we do that, Anthony?
Not today.
Through the chair, I mean, you can amend the policy at any stage, but I think just reflecting on the comments Brian made, this policy was created over 2 years of workshops and conversations with elected members. We stepped through multiple different processes to get to the point where you were really clear that you want these to be strategic in nature, and that's how we landed on these 5 strategic priorities. I think, as Brian mentioned before, for next time, you could look at amending it once we've done 3 years of this process and having different priorities for the next time you go through the development of this policy and the distribution of the cash. So,
And I think so, just to highlight as well, Headley, is that we were trying to not have eternal reliance on the council, that we wanted to lift people to be self-sustainable, to be able to go and get other grants or whatever, and not consistently coming back to the Taupō district.
And not the same old thing as well, to give other people a chance.
So, just comments. So we have some options going forward, not the least of which we can tweak the policy. We can increase the pool, the funds, and within each of the buckets. Or we could set up an entirely different funding regime like Rotorua and Tauranga Western Bay have got in terms of their energy trusts, which we had a presentation earlier of the TEL fund, when that gets to a stage where it's sufficient that we can take a percentage of the profits. And I know that's not, and Sarah's not here at the moment, but I know that's not on our radar at the moment, but there is no reason why in years to come, we couldn't look at something like that. Now, both of those trusts give away millions of dollars a year, not the few $100,000 that we've got, but that's a future conversation.
And I don't think we can change the rules now, because people are.
Not today, absolutely not, no.
No. So on that basis, I'm just putting it out there that I believe that the Wairua Community Trust is best placed right now to assist council and with social services in the district. They've got the building for it, they've got the structure for it. This amount isn't going to be enough to sustain them fully either. They are still working towards being self-sustainable. So given the priorities that we've set, given the alignment that's there, I can't really see why we wouldn't support Wairua Trust at this point.
Yeah, and very, we've got Mango.
All right.
Right, so the final one for this fund was the sustainable transport choices priority, and we received just the one application
Oh, yeah, good one, yeah.
through this fund, sorry.
Yeah.
Just the one application, and that was from Taupō.
It's a no-brainer on there. But I mean, through the chair, you know, they return about $20 million to our economy. They create employment. They do such a good job, and they get on and do it without any complaints or bureaucracy or anything. I think they're wonderful.
Okay, so councillor comments. The roads of transport. The application for the bike cycles. And they runs anyway, so cool.
Right, how much?
So what are we over?
So
Money.
We just need to come back to the dollar amount for creating Taupō. So we've got 50,000 to Sport Waikato, unknown for creative Taupō, greening Taupō 60,000, Wairua, we didn't discuss it. The 17. And then bike Taupō, we didn't discuss it, they've asked for 85.
So just clarifying, there's 300 in the pool, and if we don't use it all, it can't be transferred
it will
over
go to the one-off community funds.
to the one-off.
So with the amounts that we agreed, so if we agree to what they've asked for, what does that down to?
Let's call it.
345? So we've got 245 grand off.
Most groups would have gone high, thinking
Yeah.
it's going to be a trim.
Well, it's going to have to be.
So,
Who was the first one?
so Sport Waikato, we've previously given them $50,000.
Take them down 10.
I think that's.
We don't decide.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave it alone.
Okay, next one.
So the next one was the creative Taupō. We haven't previously had an
No,
agreement.
this is all about user stuff.
They've requested 80.
Oh, so we take them down 10.
I'll take them down.
I was thinking in line with Sport Waikato.
Yeah,
50 to 50K.
Okay.
Because they've asked,
That's just-
they applied under the accelerated fund
Three more grand.
for 20.
No.
That takes 30.
Right.
Well, they've got to say 40.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a plan.
So, okay, so taking the other 50, and who can we trim 10 off?
The next one on the list was the greening Taupō.
Yeah.
Previously, they've received 40,000.
Yeah, I think we should keep it at the same level.
Just
If we're
keep it
gonna
at the same.
keep sport.
What if they
Next one.
ask for 60?
40.
Oh, put them 50,
That takes-
I think 50.
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah, I think
And
they
what
offer
was the
quite
next
a lot
one
of assistance,
after that?
particularly to parks, don't they?
There's
Why?
one.
At the
If you
moment.
drop like Taupō to 80 instead of 85.
Ooh,
Oh,
they were
don't touch
65
that.
last time.
Touch the, who was that one? I thought?
So previously, greening Taupō have received 40,000 from
Yeah.
us. Previously, Waiora have received 30.
Yeah.
And Bike Taupō have received 65.
Yeah.
It's just
One agreed, we'll take, greening total up to 50.
Yeah.
And that should be green.
Oh,
Oh,
sure.
We still need to trim.
Well, perhaps if we've got Waiora Trust, what have we got in it? 70, like total 70, does that, what does
Like
that,
Taupō's at 85.
did they,
But they used to be.
we still need to trim some, so
How much
do you think?
45 grand?
I've got it with the creative Taupō total coming down to 50.
Mhm.
That's 30 grand.
No,
That's right.
So we currently have Sport Waikato at 50, Creative Taupō at 50,
Yes.
Greening Taupō at 50,
Yes.
Waiora are at 70, and Bike Taupō are at 85.
I don't think you can have 85 with those other figures.
No, it's a bit out of kilter, isn't it?
Way out of kilter.
So are we, what is that?
Do they drop down to make the,
We take them to 80 and
Make it to 80, that round off.
What I remember with greening Taupō and support of them, that they're planting on contact energy land. So we're actually providing beautification for a large multinational company.
Yeah, they do plant council, majority's council.
Oh, no, we know it's what land
course,
that they
yeah.
plant on.
but it's not just planting either, it's predator free, it's wicked weeding, because once they're planted on council land, they're helping us to weed it as well, because otherwise the plants die, so they're much, much more than just planting.
You read the Bike Taupō application, they also do.
They do.
predator,
They do,
Control as well.
Yeah.
Significantly.
So dropping what total?
because then we're doubling up.
Have we got the right amount there now, Brian?
So just to,
Yeah.
so we have Sport Waikato at 50, Creative Taupō at 50, Greening Taupō at 50, Waiora 70, and Bike Taupō 80.
And that's a 300.
Okay.
Okay, we're just sitting.
I think
The
we're.
value they add is phenomenal.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
but we're double dipping a bit here, because Screening Total do a lot of the same work that they do, but they're getting 20,000 less.
to bring it up, I got to
What's
But
that?
Well, I
they'll
was thinking
probably get more through accelerator
60
anyway,
and
with the kids.
What's just more the
Yeah.
advocacy as well for the community.
Yeah.
It's also really- what I think.
3 out of 7 qualified bike builders, but bike trail builders. but-
Okay,
True, true.
And the last 275 each.
but no, that's, that will be,
We'll just make greening Taupō 16, the other 15 each.
The remaining funds we can transfer over.
And we still got kids ready to open as well.
so there's still the concern is that, on things like Hopeful, they out of kilter the others. Do we agree with that?
It's not out of, so can I speak to that? I don't believe it, that's not an apples to apples comparison.
Okay, so you.
Because that's why we've got the 5 separate funds. I think my view is you need to measure it against the application and the value they add. And I would argue very strongly that they should be worth more than that, but they only apply for 85.
Through your worship, I think that adds up to 300. So let's just pack it.
Well, no,
Go to the next.
Move the resolution, get it on.
do the accelerated one.
It was only if you wanted to pass some further down to the next one.
No, you can't, they can't.
Like the one-off funding.
So the one-off grant, which all my friends are gonna have to go to.
But don't we want to be, have months for to do that?
No,
No, okay, can I,
Not least of theory.
let me
How
go.
much is on that other grants going quite a bit, eh?
So there will be about 200.
Yeah, okay, come on, I'm maybe the meeting commission.
Okay, thank you. Thank
But
you.
that's the accelerated fund,
Councillor
so
Lachlan.
that doesn't include the likes of Maru Energy being able to come back in and get some funding. But if we keep some money out of this fund, they could then apply for that one-off fund to get some support.
They can still come to our one-off fund.
Yeah, but the opportunity
top
to
it up.
add more to
Yeah.
the one-off fund is what we're going to put into the strategic partnership. fund. Is that correct?
The one fund is only 5,000 max.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
So-
moved by councillor Lachlan.
We're happy with those numbers.
Yeah, or do you want to leave it?
No, don't leave it, let's make the decision.
Are you moving, councillor Taylor?
No, he's
I move, oh, councillor Lachlan.
I'm happy to second.
Yes.
I'll record it
Don't
against because I don't agree with the funding. I don't think the community is going to.
Which aspect, kind of?
I just think the amount for Bike Taupō.
Yeah,
is-
I,
I'm
the
sorry, when I'm
bike
looking at sports and recreation and the arts and everything else.
yeah,
I understand what you're saying, Kevin, that they are amazing. There's no denying that. But if I sit there as a community member and look at those numbers, it doesn't balance in my mind, and I'm here to
If you
represent.
put extra into the arts and took some more off,
I actually quite like, Kirsty's suggestion, which was to bring greening Taupō up to 60 and then have Waiora Trust and Bike Taupō at 70. I thought that just was a better spread.
oh, I can agree with that.
Want to bring that?
Hang on with that. I've looked at it.
What did I have previously?
65.
70, 70, 60, 50, 50.
Eh?
Sorry.
There's no food, I'm not going.
Anyway, sorry, okay, all right, yeah. How much out, please? Please repeat those for fitness with
So just wait, Karen, just to get a bring up on the screen.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna just take 5 seconds. Okay, keep them listening. Whiteboard.
Make sure you take some photos, you dashboard.
So the climate risk book. No, that's not what we saw the saying, sorry, Karen.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Tell me again, because I didn't get it, sorry.
So sport Waikato at 50, creative Taupō 50, greening Taupō 60, Waiora Trust 70, bike Taupō 70.
I think that's a reasonable.
Yeah,
Perfect.
All right, moved by councillor Lachlan, second by councillor Taylor. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Right, what do we need? Accelerate.
Next one on the list is the accelerated fund. So this is the fund that we designed all around how we can work with groups to build their capability and their capacity and support them to grow, whether that's as an organisation or to grow new initiatives. That was open for anyone to apply to. So we received 24 applications in total to this fund, and you heard from some of those applicants today. You've received our assessment summary based on that framework that we have adopted, and you do have up to $160,000 of the budget to allocate across up to 8 agreements. So the limit is $20,000 per agreement, and you can have 8 of those, and that's because our team will be working very closely with these groups on a whole range of aspects of their operations, and that's all we have capacity to do.
So through the chair, if we have fewer than 8, can we then increase that 20,000?
no.
So no matter what, so we have to choose up
So
to
you
8.
previously resolved that.
I think I understood this time. I thought that was a up to 8.
Just to clarify that if they've got a strategic partnership, that out of the mix now, so we're not even considering the first ones.
Now, have we reading total? Only applied for example.
the chair, just to answer your question, so it's up to 8, maximum amount is 20,000, and anything unspent will flow through to the one-off grants.
Yeah,
So they can't be more than 20.
yeah.
Yeah, but you could have less than 8 or less than 20.
Well, just in light of the previous conversation under the different fund that we had, could we go straight to Mangakino? And I said, let's go straight to Mangakino Central, put 20 there. That's one to
Yep, agreed.
Cool. Great.
And can I suggest we do the same for the Turangi Rangatahi?
Yeah, for that as well.
Local School of Music.
Just give Karen 2 seconds.
Do you get 360 grand?
What about 180?
160.
160.
So in
That
terms
was a
of
test,
our-
I knew that.
in terms of that recommendations document you have in front of you, or the assessment document, the organised creative Taupō was on top, but they've received a strategic partnership fund. The next was volunteer Great Lake Taupō, who were on the list.
Just on Christine's behalf, she is very, very much behind Volunteer Great Lake Taupō, as am I actually, just given we both work in the volunteer area. They direct volunteer, it's a dying art, but it's got a resurgence now that Volunteer Great Lake Taupō are there. They're doing some amazing work to bring volunteers into these community groups. Hospice, the repair cafe, the op shops, greening Taupō even. They are directing people who are showing an interest in volunteering and matching them up with these community groups, and we rely on volunteers. So I'd very much like to support Volunteer Great Lake Taupō.
Through
Through
the-
Karen, you get these?
Yes,
You have 4 so far?
through the chair, I mean, volunteerism has always been like weaved through the fabric of our society. I mean, when you look at the Cycle Challenge, Ironman, a whole raft of things. So I don't mind supporting them in some way, but 20 grand. I don't,
Because all they do is
it's volunteer
bring
like, they
volunteers
can
up.
get funding for so many different sources that others can't. So
Why don't we do
I'm on the
the,
fence.
why don't we do the shortlist and
Mm.
then do
Okay.
the allocation?
Sure,
Okay.
sure. So next on the list was Turangi Rangatahi Hub.
Yep.
Yeah. And then next was Mangakino Central Charitable
Yep.
Trust.
Yeah.
We then had Real Southern Lakes.
Who?
Real.
They got a high, you gave them a high score, and I think that was because their presentation was very good. I actually really thought, I wondered how much, they're talking about a youth week, and then the sort of the follow-up. I just wondered if there was other groups in the district that were actually really in those spaces doing those things. I mean, you gave them a high score, and it's really hard because they said the right things.
And
Right.
yeah.
Whereas I looked down at the Turangi Toy Library, which got a low score, and I know why they got a low score. They shouldn't have been applying for money for a iPad or whatever the heck it was they asked for. They actually need money for toys, and they're hugely important in our area. Get this conflict of, actually they did cover it, sort of, but I'm conflicted. Well, for the toy library, this is very important. We didn't have a toy library until a couple of years ago, and it was initially funded by the Agricultural Trust. So we gave them, I can't remember, it was 10 or 20,000 to get them going, and that sort of got them underway. But that's very important little group, and I think the application wasn't that good.
Just through the chair, what we have had when we are doing the assessment, the purpose of the fund has been at the forefront of our mind, and has the application shown how they want to grow something or develop something, and so that's how our schools have come out.
Well, through the chair, I don't think we can go past SAC in this one either, because although they didn't meet the criteria for the strategic fund, we still need boots on the ground, grassroots support for sport. So I think they'll be disappointed with that, but I think it will give us an opportunity to build that capability in a way that then benefits, our strategic, I guess.
But I'd support that, and I'd also throw in kids screening Taupo and the sculpture trust.
I'd thrown that Turangi before, so that we library.
Do you mind if we just throw real, was it no?
Yeah, they want an $8,000 coffee machine.
Yeah,
Do this.
it sounded lovely, but it was like, really?
So hip screening Taupō were next on the list, and we would like to add them to the short list.
Yes.
Yep. Then the sculpture trust.
Yes.
Before we go there, can we make sure Taupō School needs it in the list?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's gonna say always to be in place, don't know.
Given you mind taking over, please. Excuse me. Coming back, so.
I doubt.
Well, we're still in the world of, we don't have to give them what we asked for. We can go 10,000, I think it's more appropriate.
Sure.
Yeah. Limited, but we're still limited to that.
You go from community notes, one more.
Yeah.
It's good to do it.
So if you felt you didn't want to allocate the full 20,000, that's fine, you can still have an agreement less than that. Any remaining money will be transferred into that one community grant pool, and we will decide on how that's divvied out next.
Thank you.
So at the moment, we have volunteer Great Lake.
People applying understand that there were only 8 funds and that it is 20.
That was on our reading.
Where we are.
So at the moment, we've got volunteer Great Lake Taupō, Turangi Rangatahi Hub, Mangakino Central Charitable Trust, Kids Screening Taupō, Taupō Sculpture Trust, and Taupō School of Music.
We haven't talked about the sculpture trust.
Mentioned it before.
I know you did.
Yeah.
I haven't. I think we gave them 100,000 the other day, and I was very about the application, and they put in 42,800 people would benefit by these sculptures. They've never once put a sculpture in Turangi.
Well, we did also support their sculpture found in Riverside Park.
Well, I think it falls under the province's heading,
Yeah,
nice to have.
Well, this is building the capability to do their own, to build their own capability to finish off the sculpture trail, potentially.
Still got
I'm against it.
quite a bit them to go.
Yeah.
I think it's I think it's too much in the nice to have department. Far too much.
I'm
I
not-
look at,
you
I
might
look
be
at
right.
some of the others down here, which are really, doing on the ground work in the community, hands-on with people.
Is there anything that you,
Nice to have.
I think if you get too brutal with this, an awful lot of these are nice to have in terms of what the core business of local government is heading towards. So I'd be really careful with that lens, otherwise we're going to scrub out just about all of these and abandon the fund and policy completely.
We've only got 8 that we can.
Should we keep going through the list and
Yes, and they come back between.
So the next on the list was the Taupō community, Te Hokinga Kito Māori.
Nice to have.
Thank you, guys.
The next was School of Music, I've forgotten one. Taupō Community Gardens. Life Education Trust.
Look, these are all worthy organisations, but I think in terms of the scope of council's primary business, it's too narrow.
Mhm.
Following that was Safe Tūrangi. And then
Sandra, what's your comment on that?
I'm divided over them.
You know more about it than.
I read their application very, very carefully. As far as I can see at this moment in time, they've got a community patrol car which is funded, and they're doing seats for babies, which is also relatively funded.
We'll pop it off the list in the meantime.
It's a maybe.
And next was Lake Taupō Sports Advisory Council, which we agreed to put.
That's a yes.
Yeah.
Following that was Graham Dingle Foundation.
No,
It's two schools, it's too narrow.
Next was the Sea Cleaners Trust.
no.
Then Turangi Toy Library.
That's a maybe.
I think that should be, individual file, really one off.
Community fund.
Then Brain Injury Waikato.
No.
SPCA.
No.
I was really keen to talk more to them about the de-sexing of the cats, just with that bylaw that's, going to be discussed. Maybe another.
Next on the list was the Turangi-Tongariro Sports Foundation.
Yeah, she's been around for such a long time. She works really hard in the community. There's a lot of stuff that she does. She does all the sports awards, and I think it'd be hard to say no to you, to be honest, at this point in
Well,
time.
if we're going to support those sports awards in Taupō then.
And they did.
Yeah, she hasn't spent previous partnership agreements and was returned to council.
And I know she was approached to be part of the Sports Advisory Council district-wide sports awards, and she turned.
Did she? That's interesting.
Just through we had correspondence with them.
They already got one at a time.
We had correspondence with them across the 3 years of their previous partnership agreement, and there were challenges in spending the money across each one of the years, to the point where at the end of that agreement, they did have to return some funds. Said they were going to spend a new one, but still was unspent.
So she could apply for the one-off one.
Sounds like a no.
Next on the list was Oranui Pony Club. Then Horses Are Us Charitable Trust. Then Lakes and Waterways Action Group.
I'll do a Facebook page for half the cost.
Oh, that was.
And
Yeah, but in all fairness, what they do as an organisation, I thought their presentation was really, really poor, in all honesty, but the things that they're doing as far as protecting our lake and waterways.
Just through the
And as
chair,
volunteers with the expertise.
just through the chair, don't we supply them in kind with meeting spaces and advertising? Do we still do that? Isn't it what we decided to do last year because they wanted?
Our work.
Yeah.
we had previously supported some admin aspects, but we no longer do.
And they recently supported through the Lake Taupō Protection Trust, and they don't get that anymore.
Easy.
I wouldn't like to give them 20 grand, I'm happy to put my hand up and say that, but something like 5, I would suggest would keep them going as an organisation.
The dilemma with doing that is that you take one out of 8 spaces and apportion a very small amount of money, which then eliminates another group who could benefit from a
Aren't we short
more
of?
significant amount. Well, yeah.
Absolutely, with the partnership, it's just about accelerator. It's about ramping.
Yeah, no, good point.
The final one on the list there was the New Zealand Collective of Abused and State Care Charitable Trust.
We need to look after it.
Let's do
Or a trust.
Yeah,
Let's go.
That's a centrally funded.
Yeah.
issue. I've also got the soccer and basketball.
It's supposed to be a one-off, doesn't it?
Or meal fund.
Yeah.
So just to go back through.
Yeah, so we haven't got money yet, but we have Mangakino Central Charitable Trust, Turangi Rangatahi Hub, Taupō School of Music, SAC, Volunteer Great Lake Taupō Sculpture Trust, It's Really Taupō.
That's 7. So we've got one more space.
What about this, that would take anyone?
I've just listened to what Simon said before.
Well, they're going to be very disappointed. I know that.
Well, everyone's going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Funded that.
Yes, they do.
We don't have to allocate it all if we keep this one space out, that's 20 grand, which falls into the contestable.
The one-off ones, which
One-off, yeah.
we've identified a few that may drop down to that anyway, so I'd be quite. happy
The
with
thing
that.
about, their rent is 14,000. This is essentially what we're applying for is for their rent.
So we're effectively giving money to a landlord is all we're doing.
Not providing a service.
Well, that's,
Well,
that's.
yeah.
If you look at the accounts that they pay, the rent is going down.
So you're not allowed Waikas River Trust to be in here, so that you can work with them to become. They're going to learn.
If they'd applied, they probably would have got across the line, to be honest.
That was our advice to groups.
Yeah, it's sustainable to get there.
So just because they haven't applied, there will be opportunities for them to come along to some of the workshops we're looking to run around funding or governance and strategic planning. So that will be community wide. It will just be that our focus is more with these groups initially to work with development.
Well,
Well, I'm concerned that we've actually got one Turangi organisation. That's it.
Through the chair, let's see, hoping, thank you more, there's a bit of a synergy with the, Secretary Hudson.
so which group is that?
The, thank you more, sort of synergy with the, Turangi-Tongariro.
No, they were
No, they're
Straight.
private businesses under a charitable organisation.
So synergy in terms of the outcome.
Maybe we
Yeah, but
can,
they're all private businesses as well.
but just through the chair, maybe we can offer some bit of support
Oh, right,
for
yeah.
private practitioners who want to apply for funding, heading a support letter from the mayor or something. Maybe because Health New Zealand is a mess and we can't fix that.
So given that we have one space unfilled, coming back to what Kylie suggested, which I then disagreed with, and I'll withdraw my disagreement now, so we're over the conversation. If we look at lakes and waterways at a reduced amount, and then we still have some spills over, but I'm also conscious of the comment Julie just made around this is an accelerator to get people up and running and self-sufficient, and this is a group that's been around for a long, long time. So this is not development accelerator funding, this is just maintenance, keep going funding.
So then in light of that, can I flip and go the SPCA, because they're an organisation that have had a massive amount of problems in the community. They've had a massive amount of issues with care, and part of their presentation was that they've actually resolved those issues. I've been to their op shop, and it offers quite a different service. There are some people that can't have animals at home due to their mental health situation, but it gives them somewhere where they can go and make a connection with something in a supervised and safe circumstance. I actually think it ticks off more community things. They've tried to do a lot themselves, and if we could just give them a little bit more support, maybe not at the 20k end of things, but at a something end of things, I'd say 10k.
I've struggled hugely with that. The SPCA has basically been thrown out of Turangi because of the lack of care that they gave the community. And then they came into town and they opened up an op shop and nothing, not a single cent came back to our community. So we've got, Stacey Lewis down there who does an amazing job. And all out of the funds that I'm surprised I haven't seen anything here, but I suspect you might go into the local fund and looking for money there, but.
That's why I asked a question around their op shop, around where the funds go, because I'm conscious there are only, pretty sure my facts, there are only 2 op shops in Taupo where the funds stay in this community. One is the op shop, one to Alpine Street like that, and there's one other, I can't remember what it is.
The hospital.
No, hospice goes centrally.
No,
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 sure.
sure. Yes, I'm positive.
Okay, well, that would be the other
Absolutely
thing.
positive, because I've just met Chris. Well, did I hear that SPCA assist animal control? Is that another angle to look at?
I think this one runs quite differently than the one in Turangi. This is a one-off model, and I've been in there a number of times. I think it's impressive what they do. Because
Well, I'd be happy to put some funding for these
Just
people on that basis.
Follow the comments around, we've got here that they demonstrate some alignment.
Yes, it worth going back to the framework through the chair and who's or
And just through the chair, how much is actually done in Tamaranui versus here when I talked about the de-sexing program? And I just, with them being a nationwide organisation, apart from these small sort of grassroots, and I appreciate what they do and I appreciate the volunteers, but I'm just struggling with this one.
We do our own C16 program. Jerry.
Okay, so if you're going to do that, then throw the, you spoke very strongly towards the Turangi toy library, etc. So where do the relative merits of SPCA against the toy library?
It's no comparison. It's, well, they don't exist in Turangi, other than the shop down there, which we don't get any money. I mean, I can't do it, but what I would have quite like to have done is, you know, tend to save Turangi and tend to the toy library, but can't do that. Can I?
Also, the comments that they do not align to the purpose.
Well, this is the whole purpose, and I think we're talking about people who've probably been used to just putting in a application and just put in the same application that they've always put in without reading, am I right?
I think most of those organisations could do quite well out of the community funding pool.
We go back to Safe Turangi then.
I'd be quite happy to leave it at 7 and drop the rest into the community funding.
More than mind to do that too, to be honest, yeah.
The council board support that.
Who are the 7? I've only got, only.
We got
Oh, sorry, beg your pardon.
We can't read.
So we've got Mangakino Central Charitable Trust, we have the Turangi Rangatahi Hub, we have Taupō School of Music, Volunteer Great Lake Taupō, Kids Reading Taupō, Taupō Sculpture Trust, and Lake Taupō Sports Advisory. Are we sure?
I would like to see the volunteer Great Lake Taupō come back. They don't actually.
Yeah, I agree with
anything.
Well, they do an awful lot. They do an awful lot from hospice perspective, from any organisation that relies on volunteers. They are relied very heavily upon. They do all the administration around it. We don't even have to worry. People just turn up. It's quite a well-used service for organisations that rely on volunteers.
So I agree with Kylie initially. I thought, well, this just doesn't make sense. What on earth do you need an organisation to get volunteers when we have volunteers coming out our ears? So this weekend there's going to be, 1,500 plus volunteers for Ironman. Until I read their application, I thought actually this is stuff I didn't understand and had no visibility on.
Yeah, and I've seen them.
Feeds its well-being as well, people's well-being, getting out volunteering.
Yeah, just through the chair, they are a group that are in that growth phase, and so working with them would support the future of volunteering in Taupō District, and we know that that's changing, would really support that to come to life.
And to be fair, and digressing a little bit, big events, so Ironman is an exception. You don't have any trouble. Well, some other groups do, but they get you a little bit of payment there. But there is volunteers turn up, and they'll all be there on Monday night, which I'll talk about later, Steve.
The annual event that they run.
Next week.
However, there's lots of organisations which struggle for volunteers endlessly. So.
Well, I struggle with the sculpture trust being in a Safe Turangi not being in, and they're basically on the same criteria, one's 3.9, one's 3.4. I think that there's coordinated there, but everybody else is a volunteer down there.
We've got room for
I'll take one.
Thanks.
Which did you want? Sorry.
during safety.
Save Turangi.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking against that.
Well, I think they've got. I think they've got a bit to learn, and this might be a good opportunity, Hadley, for people to work with them and up their game a bit, rather than chucking the baby out with the bathwater at this moment in time, because they probably would get a heck of shock. So I think it's a bit like the sports people, some really close working with them and accountability. Is that fair comment? Yeah.
And I think given some of the others we've put in there, if you read staff comments in the summary document we've got, it does align with the purpose of what we're assigning this funding for.
They're all very defendable.
Yeah.
That's,
What's that say?
Well, no, I think there's something we haven't we considered it, but threw it out. But the real looking at developing a youth week, which actually comes into the criteria, and they ranked at 4.2.
Just through the chair with, so we used to have a youth network. Network, I was going to say Hilly, but youth network is, and that's no longer. And so I suppose that as an assessment team, our view was they are looking to fill a gap where there is a need, and they are bringing rangatahi from every area of the district. So in terms of that widespread benefit of what they're doing, there's definitely there.
I don't agree with the coffee machine, so I'd suggest 12 grand or 11 grand, 10 or whatever. But just when I look there and think we're going to support
There is nothing in there for youth.
in Taupō, we've done every other district, just not Taupō.
So just for Dunley, there's 8 there now. Where are you doing it?
I'll take the sculpture trust in. We've got 20 grand there for music, and we've given creative total, what was it, 70 in the other fund? 50, sorry, whatever it was.
so is this, Real Southern Lakes, is that an ongoing organisation? Because
Well, what they're talking about there is wanting to establish a youth week. And
Yeah.
so when I'm going back to the purpose of
Yeah.
this is to celebrate and accelerate something that's going to be led for the community. So to my mind, reading that, I don't agree with the coffee machine, don't get me wrong. But the idea of developing a youth group, a youth week and celebrating youth. And when I looked up Real, they look like a nationwide organisation, but
Yeah, but if they haven't got the coffee machine to do training on, then
They do that.
it's college.
But what I mean is
That's what they were saying,
they're working in the colleges, so there is a coffee machine at Maui, there's
Yeah,
a
there
coffee
is.
machine at Toho. So much like the challenge that I sort of put to the Turangi-Tongariro hub, you know, like if you're a school, so there are places that you can operate out of. I mean, there's even a sports hub, I mean, that's not on the weekend during sports time.
If it wasn't a significant part of their application, why would they even mention it? And I don't see why would council be paying a group to teach young people how to make coffee?
there's plenty of groups around.
Sorry, I struggle with that.
Through the chair, my daughter became a trained barista through Taupō when she was there, taught by the head barista at Posey Corn at school, and went to culinary fairs
So
and
the
all
piece,
that.
the piece in here that I'm supporting is the application seeks to
For
support
youth week
to
funding.
deliver and grow Youth Week in the Taupō District, as well as establishing several new initiatives based at the hub. The one example was the coffee.
So Youth Week is an event.
Yes, youth week is a
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just ask through the chair, now we have a community development engagement team, do you have something in your radar for youth week? Or is there a facilitation,
There can be,
Piece of
it's
work.
not at the moment, but there could be.
is there budget for it, or?
Well, we've got a team. or
That's right, so I'm just wondering if there's other ways to get around housing them, like getting a big bag, better bang for buck through hoping with more, but I don't know what the workload is and I don't know what the budget.
Just through the chair too, we, as a team, sorry, we are really focusing on that community-led development instead of council leading
Yeah.
events or things. How can we support the community to do that themselves? This may be one way we can.
Yeah, I think it's.
Just following on from that too, all the unsuccessful applicants are still going to get support. So while they may not get through cash funding, we're still going to support them through a whole lot of capability and capacity workshops, a whole range of support that we can provide to these groups as well. So it's not just this.
Through to there are actually quite a lot of grant funding options for events too. So it could be that the help that we give them is to direct them to those funding options.
Well, I'm happy with that, we've had a discussion, that's
Yeah.
really all I wanted
That's
to do.
important to talk through, yeah.
The rank was at 4.2, it
Yeah.
was next on the list, we've skipped past them.
Yeah.
I'm happy now we've gone back and rediscussed it.
Because we said right at the beginning, we don't all need to agree, that we need to have a robust conversation. So it's good. Yeah. That's fine, that's good.
Yeah.
We have a list.
So can we just run through the list again? So each of them will be 20.
So we've got Mangakino Central Charitable Trust,
Yes.
Turangi Rangatahi Hub, Taupō School of Music, Volunteer Great Lake Taupō, Kids Screening Taupō, Taupō Sculpture Trust, Sports Advisory Council, and Safe Turangi.
Okay. Are we all happy with that? That's our 8. Right. Let's combine the 2 and put a motion on the board.
We
So
can
that's
make
5.1.
Well, we've done the,
Yeah, this is
sorry.
5.2.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, but
We've still got 5.3 and confidential.
confident.
You've got to be talking about coffee.
Right, so that's. Sorry, but just before we go, conflicts of interest, is anyone else conflicted with what's up there? So, no. So that's just
I made my
school music, but that's. Let's just think that through. So you declare a conflict, but you're voting on 8 groups. It's not,
You were part of the deliberations for Waiora House that put Waiora House into the consideration. So that decision was made with you out of the room and Sandra out of the room. So they weren't part of the discussion.
Yeah.
That was removed. So the decision was made prior to him returning to the room. So there should be no conflict.
Well, it's going to be the majority decision anyway.
I was going to say, very open debate there too.
And we've been all,
yeah, no, that's fine. No, I don't believe that is an issue.
No.
Happy to be contradicted, but I'm comfortable there. Well, that's the motion before us.
I think John should read that.
I think you should stop staring. Cover mover,
Yeah.
thanks Rachel, seconder, thanks
Yeah.
Kirsty. All in favour?
Aye.
Yes, carried. Thanks team, that,
5.2.
just to wrap up,
Oh, hang on.
No, we've got 5.3.
I know that, but just to wrap up this agenda item, that has been particularly difficult, and I knew this was going to be a difficult process, having read through the applications. And the numbers that we've got, it just was never going to fit and get everyone across the line. And no disrespect to those who were unsuccessful. As I said earlier on, it was heartening to see so many groups doing such amazing work right across the district.
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah.
She's right.
Anyway, back to my agenda. Very weird.
What works for you?
Oh.
1 o'clock. Workshops.
We need resolution going to it or not?
No, I'm just following that. We're at 5. No, that was 5.3. We've done that.
No, we haven't.
We have 5.3 we have to do.
Yeah, allocation of funding to the one-off community.
Oh, sorry, excuse me, 5.3. Right.
Long day.
Lucky last. So now
For
that,
you, it might be, but not for us.
now that we have allocated the Strategic Partnership Fund and the Accelerator Fund, we can now use the remaining funding across to split. Essentially, this is asking you, how do we want to split the remaining $240,000 across the Taupō and Taupō East Rural Community Fund, the Mangakino-Pouakani Community Fund, and the Turangi-Tongariro Community Fund. In your paper, we have included what was previously given out under each of the funds. Bearing in mind too, we used to have the Creative Taupō, the sports and the social services funding. So we've shrunk that those available funds down to these 3 location-based funds now. Look, I will take the rest of the paper as read, and I'm happy to discuss and answer any questions.
Just through the chair, I just want to advocate for Mangakino in this space. I just want to see them probably get a bit more of their fair share. Like no disrespect to Turangi at all, and I wouldn't want to take funding off Turangi, but 65 versus 25 versus, like, and I know every ward's got its own socioeconomic factors and everything's a bit different. But I just wonder if there's a fairer way of doing this, because having been on the, and I don't think it's a conflict of interest, but being on the Mangakino-Pouakani rep group this training, and there's never going to be enough money, but it just seems that, I mean, that amount of money just never goes very far at all. So yeah, I'm just putting that out there on the table for the
And I
discussion.
think along those lines, out of this money that we've just distributed here, there's not really anything for East Taupō at all.
Yep.
And any of that,
And the
just to consider that moving up to this,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's Taupō and Taupō East Rural. The big catchment.
or just of communities that can't go anywhere else for funding. So if you're at Rangataiki, you're too far away to apply for half the pub charities in town. You're physically just too far to be eligible, same as River Road, just too far from the closest to be in them.
And through the chair, when we originally set up the Taupō and Taupō East Rural was to catch those rural communities, but to also one-offs like Christmas parades and things that didn't really fit anywhere. So I don't know how we do it. I know that.
1, 2, 4.
Given we have a population stats for across the district, will it be appropriate to prorata this on population?
That doesn't take care of need, sort of thing, which might be higher.
Correct.
Because they're at what, maximum 5,000 per application, aren't they?
We've got two.
Could we, after the
240.
problems that we've had this time around, go through and actually see how we feel allocating, if there's something we've done, whether, I don't know, whether we can say if there wasn't enough out of Turangi, for example, in Mangakino had a much higher need, but some could come out of that and go on to.
It's always oversubscribed though, and Turangi's always oversubscribed. I think all the areas are always.
So what is, so through your worship for this, so what is the population roughly? Like 1, 4, 2,
I don't know if you have Turangi,
Because Taupō East Rural also includes Kinloch.
yeah, that's why 4, it's got the 4.
Sorry?
Taupō
Yeah, Taupō and Taupō East Rural are
But it's
one
Taupō and
application.
Taupō East Rural.
And within that is also Kinloch.
What is that roughly?
but they decided they didn't want to.
We still got it.
Yeah, but we're-
Just one at a time.
Sorry.
John?
Can I suggest 64,110 to maintain 65
And then-
and Southeast 110.
Are we talking about 700,000?
No,
Oh, God, well, I would like to 700,000.
because you're an accountant. Not our accountant.
So I said 100,000, 200,000, 400,000, and 700,000. You're saying it's not 700,000.
That's the total grant.
So only 32,400.
I was trying to look at the work that Philip did,
Let's just do
which did a great breakdown. So
60, 60, 120.
Yeah,
That would be, that reflect enough for East Rural.
But through the chair, can we put a tag on some money to that Taupō East ward that?
well, let's make this decision and then.
Sure.
I just want to check the rules.
I know.
It'll be interesting to see if
Yeah.
it applies, but have flexibility.
Okay, what have we got?
because that's the other thing is like, it's only 5,000, so. Yeah. It's probably too much money, Cameron, to be honest, because
Groups.
if that's, yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
So that there would be two rounds, it'd be 30. And
Oh, yeah.
previously they've only had 25.
For the, for that,
It's not all
yeah,
plus
yeah,
six,
it would double it
Yeah.
twice in.
So are we comfortable with that?
What time can I give?
60, 60, 120.
What's the population?
Also, I've got a
Still-
population in front of me, but it's actually the trouble is it's all broken down in different
Yeah.
ways. So for example, it might be helpful, Taupō Township, 27,000, Turangi, 4,000, rural, but you could add a couple of areas together, 5,
7,000, depending on which we added it. But it doesn't break it down quite the same way.
It's be very careful because at the moment Turangi and Mangakino are significant winners on a pro rata basis by a country mile.
But we've missed out a lot up here.
Yeah, but if you go into the rural space. and
Be
you look at-
careful with that because if you look at on a population basis, people in Taupo town get significantly less per capita than Turangi does.
Yeah.
Significantly.
So what was the numbers?
Well, John suggested 60, 60 and 120.
We should get less than 2 days. We should get less. I think that Mangakino should get less than 2.
So 50 and 70.
What about 30, 50 in the balance?
I would be more comfortable with that. If you've got the bulk of the population and East Rural.
Yeah.
That's too.
And if you look at Penlock as a sub-community.
Yeah.
As larger than Tūrangi.
Yeah, that's right.
So 50 Turangi, 30 Mangakino. Yes,
That's less than we've ever had before. Previously, we had 65 around community grants. I don't think you can do that.
But you didn't get
The
the other.
others accelerated fund.
So you need 50 bucks the difference? Now the accountant.
26.
60.
160.
So 30, 50, 160.
What is your thing? 30 for who? 30 for the east.
30 for Mangakino, 50 for Turangi,
Coming for
60
Turangi. How much for Turangi?
50 and
It's on the board.
160 for Turangi and,
No.
sorry, Taupō East Rural.
Say that again?
It's on the
It's on
screen.
the screen.
I can't see them.
30, 50 for Turangi and
So I'd
160
be
for
more comfortable
Taupo.
with 40 for Mangakino, 50 for Turangi and 150 for Taupo.
Yeah.
40, 60, sorry, 40.
40, 50, 150.
Well, it just depends which way you look at it. I have 25% of the ratepayers in my district.
And what percentage do rural rates out of the whole?
That doesn't sound,
25%. No.
So
Well,
I've got
so
the stats in front of me.
there's 18,000 ratepayers in the district, 5,000 in Turangi.
it's 20,000.
So stats have got which are population based, have got Turangi at 4,000. But that again, just being really clear, this is census area unit, so it doesn't line up with.
That's residents, that's different, it's different figure. It's all about statistics, it's residents, yeah. That's the difference.
Are we comfortable with what we've got on board?
40, 50 and 150.
Well, yeah,
You're never going to have a perfect so do it certificates.
just gonna struggle go to the community, but at least from what we have, community board. I mean, I know what you're saying, we've got the accelerated fund and we've got the strategic funds, but
It's more than they had previously.
which, well,
More than
were
they
they
have
able to apply across the district?
Yes, because there were social services,
Yeah,
creative,
yeah.
total, and
Yeah.
community sports grant that was also open to Turangi.
You've also got a community with $185,000 in the Mayor's Task Force for jobs in Turangi.
We've also got less, we've also got less, we've also got slightly less than we did. Because we used to have 30 for white river trails, 12.5 for the travel trust and 25. So we're 7,500 less than what we normally would have.
Well, the last calls, are we comfortable or do we want to change it again?
No.
Right, mover for that, please. So I'm second. Holly, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Sullivan, noted. Thank you. Right, let's go to
I can move into confidence.
I'll second this into confidence.
1 point. Resolution for the public. Thank you. Move down, second, John, all in favour? Thank you. Let's get a report.